Hi, my name's Debbie, and this is my story.
Well, I grew up in Peterborough, and as far back as I can remember, I went to Mark Street United Church every Sunday. Stopped going when I was about 16 or 17, and really didn't think much about returning to church after that. After becoming divorced, I really had to work hard to fend for myself, and I had to manage my life, my kids, problems, and I became incredibly self-reliant. I was just in survival mode for a long time. God started becoming real to me again when I was in a relationship with a man who was a Christian, and it was a very important part of his life to come to church and have God in his life. So I accompanied him to church as, just as part of being in a good relationship, and also, an activity we did together. It was maybe the first or second week that we'd gone back to church that I had a big decision to make at work, and I was offered a position that I was quite nervous about. It was going to be challenging, and I wasn't sure if I was cut out for it. And that particular Sunday, Jay spoke about discernment and understanding when God was whispering to you. And it felt like he was talking directly to me. And it was a little spooky having that conversation a couple of days before, and then having this framework placed in front of me that gave me an opportunity to look at this life decision in a very different way. And I felt that I could make the choice to take the position even though I was nervous, because I understood it was something that I was wired for, and perhaps this was an opportunity that was placed in my direction for a bigger reason. So I did take the job. And although it was a big challenge, it worked out quite well. We started going to Starting Point group in this past January, hosted by Katie and Arnie, and I was so drawn into the podcasts, the discussion afterwards, the readings that we were doing, and it actually was a huge turning point in that I was no longer going to church just as part of our relational activity, but because I truly felt an incredible desire to learn more, this curiosity about the community, what serving God was about, the stories and messages from Jesus, and seeing people actually live that life and be committed to it. And I just started to want it. I felt about maybe 4 or 5 months ago that I was really coming to a point where I desperately wanted to believe, and I intellectually understood what was required of me, but I wasn't sure how to get there. And while my desire was just to give over, I still was so connected with needing to be in charge and in control and have my eye on every part of my world. And I struggled with that for a long time, but I had an epiphany, I guess, in the strangest place. I was learning how to play golf, and although I was becoming a fairly adept golfer, I continued to take lessons, hoping to improve more. And my golf coach got a little frustrated with me, because although I could hit the ball quite straight and forward, he knew that I needed to make some changes in order to improve my game. So he moved my grip so far into an awkward place that it was very uncomfortable. And I said, "That doesn't feel right." He says, "Trust me." And then he made me backswing to the point and twist my body so that I couldn't even see the ball. And I said, "I can't see where I'm going. I can't see what I'm hitting." And he said, "Trust me. Now hit the ball." And I did, and it went further than anything I've ever hit before. And that's when occurred to me that that's exactly what I needed to do, was let God twist me, and even though I felt uncomfortable, that it would be okay. And let God have his eye on the ball. And even though I was fearful that I wouldn't be able to see everything I need to see, that it would be okay. And that's when I was able to accept Jesus as my personal Savior and know that all my faith was in God. So the impact of putting my faith and trust in Jesus is that my perspective has totally shifted. I've realized that my world is just a small part in a very large story, and all the fears and worries that I had are really that much smaller as a result. I also know that no matter what happens in my world, that I will be loved and accepted, and that is everything. Well, baptism really is a big decision for me about aligning what I'm feeling inside with how I'm living my world outside now. It's a public demonstration that I want to live my life as a Christian. I would like to give my heartfelt thanks to everyone at Auburn who was incredibly supportive, helped me through the last year and a half of learning, teaching, listening, and also providing an environment where we could have these small group discussions. Katie and Arnie, Tim and Lisa, thank you for hosting the Starting Point group, and all the Starting Point group members that were open, honest, and just willing to share. It made all the difference. I'm just so glad that my story is now part of God's story.